Oh my God. I don't think I've ever had a NASCAR Winston Cup race as exciting as that. Wear me out this much in my entire 23 years I've been watching NASCAR as a fan since 2001. Because holy shit, was that fucking exciting. Hey YouTube, what's going on? Mark here. Happy Sunday, and oh my God, that was an exciting race to the point where it just wore me the fuck out, but I had to re-energize myself a little bit just to make this race review. I'm already on my pajamas because that's how tired the race made me, because that's how exciting it was. I mean, it wasn't like the greatest thing ever, but it was still pretty damn good. So there's a little bits to unpack. So first of all, we're gonna go break it down race like a little bit at a time. The lap one wreck was very infuriating. Of course, it's Corey LaJoie dumping Kyle Busch, because now Corey LaJoie went from this underdog. Everybody wanted to win the Napa 500 in Atlanta 2 years ago. The last year we didn't go to home days until the Zaku series. Last year, outside of this year, because keep in mind we will try to go back for season 5 of Fun in the Sun next season. And now 2 years later, everybody fucking hates him for I don't remember the reasoning, but for like it was oh yeah, didn't he intentionally wreck someone or something like that? Didn't he actually wreck someone? I remember, oh yeah, it was like, hold on. Okay, it was the Pennsylvania 500 at Pocono. The Corey LaJoie hate train started when he wrecked like one. It was believed that he intentionally wrecked, Kyle Busch, who was like one of the NASCAR's popular drivers, let alone big name drivers. So yeah, that's where the Corey LaJoie hate train came from, because they went from everybody went from wanting him to win the Napa 500 in Atlanta, 2 years ago when we didn't go to home days. With last year we had no desire before the docuseries last year, and then the part outside of the part of this year where we couldn't go by default, even though we wanted to, which we will be back for season 5 Fun in the Sun in 2025 next year. But now 2 years later, everybody hates him after him, wrecking Kyle Busch in the Pennsylvania 500 in Pocono. So therefore, LaJoie just dumped this shit again, causing that first lap pile up, and Ryan Blaney was understandably upset with NASCAR's horrible officiating once again. And I didn't think so much about the officiating part. I was thinking more about how bullshit the damaged vehicle policy is. Like, I understand from a safety standpoint why that rule even exists, based on how it used to be way back in the Gen 4 Winston Cup days. But the way they handle it, the way they use it is part I have a problem with. Like, if you're not gonna enforce it properly, then it shouldn't even be a rule at all. Like, if it's gonna have to come to that, get rid of that shit. I mean, sure, you can't go make repairs and come back out like you used to, but Blaney felt like the damage wasn't that severe, and that he could have I agree. If the damage isn't that severe and you tow them back to the garage instead of their pit stall, like they're supposed to, if they want to get back in the race, have 7 minutes to fix it, give them a chance to check that shit out like Kevin LePage. But no, they didn't. They said, you know what, we told you back to the garage, you're done for the day. And Blaney said, that's bullshit. You should have towed us back to the pits. Considering our damage wasn't that bad, we could have looked it over and tried to fix it for the 7 minutes you were going to give us on the clock. Like, I get it, rules are rules, but if you're not going to enforce them properly, then they shouldn't even be rules at all. Simple as that. So, therefore, yeah, so, but Blaney is well enough above the cut line. So, depending on if he doesn't DNF again next weekend at the Sharpie 500, he should be fine. So, and yet Corey LaJoie caused that big pile up on lap 1. He still got an 8th place finish, but My man Zane Smith got a 5th place finish, so he got forced right after it was confirmed he was losing his ride, and then it was confirmed that Trackhouse gave him the boot. Now he's finally turning his season around, but this might be a good thing because this could be auditions for a potential 2025 Winston Cup ride for a sophomore year. Only time will tell. So therefore, it's like, I have to get new Gregson front row merch. Shout out to him for nearly getting a top 10. He barely missed out on it by getting 11th. I have to get new Zane Smith merchandise too, depending on if they sell it what team Zane goes to. So therefore, the Harrison Burton caution. The Daniel Suarez caution too. First of all, the Suarez caution, why did it take NASCAR 10-15 seconds to throw the yellow flag when they knew he wasn't going to get out of there unless a wrecker came and came and towed him out. Luckily, the gravel trap isn't as big as it used to be back in the Gen 4 Winston Cup days. It's not that whole place with a gravel trap. It's not like the where it's all runoff now. Luckily, it's not all gravel. Otherwise, Suarez would have been in bigger trouble. But also, the Harrison Burton caution. Damn it, Hanger. Get out of here. Get out of here. Okay. Why did it take NASCAR 15-20 seconds when Harrison Burton blew a tire when they knew debris was going everywhere, and yet they waited 15-20 seconds to throw the caution? It's like, I hate late-ass caution calls. I'm glad they called it, better late than never, but usually when it's something that is not worthy of a caution, they get trigger happy with the button and, immediate flag. So, therefore, could you say that, David Hoots retired for this grade A horseshit that happened in the towel where ever since he retired, the honchos that came after him just, doing what he wouldn't have done, just making shit up as they go. So, I don't know, man. I really don't know, honest to God. But, the officiating could have been a hell of a lot better, but that's the least of my worries, considering, in terms of the officiating is the least of my concern here. But with the whole Ryan Blaney damaged vehicle policy thing and the late caution calls for Harrison Burton and Daniel Suarez, I'll get to talking about Montoya in a minute, and the Shane Van Gisbergen versus Chris Buescher, but this is what really frustrated me today. It didn't really piss me off to that extent. Never went that far, escalated that far. This just frustrated me to watch. It's like Martin Truex Jr. said it best. How the fuck are we so expect to be known as the best drivers in the world, where if it's within 10 laps to go or less at a road course, which goes to show you it can happen at Watkins Glen too, and not just, outside of Watkins Glen or Sears Point, even though it hasn't happened at Sears Point yet. Now that I say that, watch it happen at next year's Dodge Save Mart 350, even though we'll most likely miss that race because of the Brook Park documentary called Sandhurst Stories when we go to home days to record episodes of that documentary thriller. Now, watch him do that at Sears Point next year while we're at home days. You're probably like, what the fuck are we missing while we're out here by our old house, and with our old neighbors and, down by in our old city that we grew up in almost our entire life, even though for those 10 years, we put more of our eggs in the Sandhurst basket. We had our own childhood home away from the home my grandparents owned for majority of my life, called Lenore. So, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, those last 10 laps until they figured it out in the first overtime. Was it the first overtime? Yeah, only one overtime, thankfully. It's a miracle we didn't get multiple overtimes. And within 10 laps to go, everybody throws their brains out the fucking window and they just forget how to drive and just run over each other like it's the demolition derby and then go 5, 6, 7 wide into turn one and just, kamikaze each other, into the wall or into the Armco barrier and, or whichever is a saving grace that's due for you to hit that usually keeps from going out of the track, but Truex, I don't blame Truex for being upset, and I don't blame him for leaving when he's he at the end of the year, he has the quote, "I'm out of here," says it all. So yeah, that's the only part I didn't like is they get within 10 laps to go or less, and then they just lose their minds and toss their brains out the car window. or through the windshield of the car, and they're just like, you know what, we'll just run over each other and, cause a bunch of crazy wrecks and random cautions and create more and more restarts and more overtimes, which luckily they just had one, and more chaos. And guess what? There'll be no repercussions from it, because that's today's NASCAR. Because back in the Gen 4 Winston Cup days, it was like not enough. It was like too much respect. Now that 20 plus years later, it's not enough respect. How the tables have turned, but in the wrong direction. That's the part that really frustrated me. It's a miracle they only did one overtime, but yet, singular like Robbie Gordon overtime, they miraculously figured it out and got it together. So, but man, everybody needs to do better. That's not what the best drivers in the world do. They don't not run each other over and shit like that. Because if they were the best drivers in the world, they would actually be racing with more respect. Like the Earnhardts, the Labonte brothers, the Bodine brothers, Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott, Jeremy Mayfield, Joe Nemechek, Jerry Nadeau, Matt Kenseth, the Burton brothers, Jeff Gordon, who else was that back in those days? The Waltrip brothers. See, those guys, Ricky Rudd, those guys drove you with respect. Now, Bobby Hamilton Sr., Sadler brothers even, those guys knew how to race you cleanly and with respect. Now that those guys are all either retired or dead, minus Jimmy, who did come back to run part-time last year with the revamped Petty Enterprises team known as Legacy Motor Club, which I fucking hate that name, even though I'm a fan of John Hunter Nemechek, and I'm still calling it Petty Enterprises because I do not like that Legacy Motor Club name. Now that those guys are retired and are dead, and outside minus Jimmy, is like they feel like you feel like they can just do whatever they want, and have no respect, especially on a road course where it gets within 10 laps to go or less. But now I'm just repeating myself and going on the same tangent over and over. But anyway, let's talk about Montoya. So, therefore, this was the first time Montoya raced in the Winston Cup Series since the 2014 Brickyard 400. So, and this was my first time rooting for him since, the 2013 Ford 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway. And boy, let me tell you, it felt good to bust out my old Montoya hats again, even though that's most likely never going to happen again. I tried to find my shirts, the old JPM shirts, but I wasn't able to find them in a timely manner, so the best I could do was a hat, 2 hats, and even if I found the shirts, I highly doubt they were going to fit me because, like I mentioned in past videos, I was one skinny SOB back in the day and on Sandhurst. Now I've gained a good amount of weight, especially since COVID hit. It's that COVID weight that I still need. I lost most of it. I still have a little bit of work to do to be skinny again. But even if that happens, I don't think that those Montoya shirts are going to fit me because I was like a different size, no, regardless of how skinny or chubby I was, and compared back then to now. So, and my body has changed. My body size has changed a lot since those days. So, therefore, he actually had a chance of, throwing his name in the mix with, SVG to upset the field today. But I heard it was at first I heard it was a flat tire that took him out of contention. But then I later heard it was either an axle or transmission instead. And somehow he only lost 1 lap. And he had to settle for 30 seconds. Like, this is just like the 42 days when he was like a Ganassi before Larson took over. It's like, I can't win for losing with them. So, man, that one off though. But my grandmother made the funniest joke to like brighten my day after I told her and my grandfather what happened. At least there was no fire this time. Please forgive me. I mean, I have an excuse as to why I make jet dryer jokes, let alone fire jokes. It's only because I was at that Daytona 500 in person when it happened for my 18th birthday, along with the fact that I actually liked the guy who it is, and he was my driver back then. So at least I have a valid excuses to make jet dryer jokes, let alone fire jokes. But anyway, the last thing I want to mention is, first, besides the fact that the Brett Bodine imposter was out to lunch again, which is good. Maybe he'll be out to lunch again next week for the Sharpie 500. That way, people like Briscoe, Suarez, Sandra can eliminate his ass. Well, SVG versus Chris Buescher. I mean, that was a battle for the ages. It was like the 2012 race all over again, minus the whole dumping the leader. or the leader getting in the oil of a lap car blowing up, and then getting spun by the eventual second place car slash win, or was it eventual runner up, for just
Stop it. Get some help.
minus the fact that there was no lap car blowing an engine, causing the leader, the provisional leader, to get spun up by the eventual second place finisher, causing that epic battle. So therefore, we didn't have that this time. So it was clean and green all the way. Buescher could have, when SVG made that mistake of grazing the wall going into the inner loop bus stop chicane, he could have turned SVG, when Buescher could have turned SVG around, which I thought he was going to do, but no, he didn't do that. He did give him a little nudge, and SVG accepted it and called it fair play because he knew he was going to get that back after making contact the first time, and therefore, he tried to get him back, try to send it. He tried to, but thankfully, I wouldn't say it didn't work, but, he thought better of it, considering, he almost spun the car in turn 10 trying to get back to him. And, man, Chris Buescher had played spoiler in the chase, considering I knew a non-chaser was going to win a chase race, but I didn't expect it to be this soon. And, again, I am disappointed in that 3 car, who basically was in the thick of it, but just like Nemechek could not get over the hump. Dude, what were you thinking? I mean, I get it, you were not happy with the 20 car, but the fact that you dumped his ass, it could go either way. Maybe you could call it the fact that the 20 was trying to get to pit road and Austin was kept his foot in the gas, and not giving an inch since he was not in the chase and had nothing to lose, and it kind of came across both ways, but that's neither here or there for NASCAR. But for me as an Austin fan, dude, that was not cool. I mean, what were you thinking, spitting the guy? I mean, I could see it coming. I thought a slim chance that he would dump him after all that, but he could have been because he was coming to the pits and also trying to get back on the track. But part of me feels that way, but part of me felt like he just dumped him outright for racing him hard. That's the second time this year. I mean, now I see why a lot of people don't like him, even though I put more money on his stuff more than anybody else's. So it kind of makes me hard to be an Austin Dillon fan these days. But, oh my God. But, yeah, that was a serious at the Glen. I get why a lot of people didn't like it and thought it was not a good race because, the Gen 7 sucks at the road courses. I get that. But I thought it was pretty good, and I enjoyed it from start to finish. Now, you could see why in the intro why I was worn the fuck out, because I was, on the edge of my seat having a lot of fun, yeehawing at the TV, thinking that, Zane Smith, Noah Gragson, or hell, Montoya or Nemechek had a shot at winning. So, therefore, I mean, that's just racing sometimes. So, NASCAR confirmed that they're bringing the same tire package back, the same package that they had for the Food City 500 on St. Patrick's Day, when Nemechek ran well all day long, from start to finish, stay in the front all day, and finished 6th. So, that means Sharpie 500 should be fun to watch, and maybe Nemechek will bring the same setup from back then, but even better. There's some catapulting him to an even better shot at winning this Saturday night. I'm playing chase spoiler. Oh my God, can we get these hangers out of here? God damn. So, therefore, but that's not going to be the first thing we're going to do that night, because since my dad will be in Canada this coming weekend, we won't be doing Poker Game Night Season 3, Episode 4 until next month, which will be the Season 3 finale. So I apologize once again for not giving you guys much episodes and content with this series, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there next month. But before that Sharpie 500 comes on, we got a JV football game that we're going to early in the morning with my man Ricky B to support his son Caden and all my class of 2027 best friends. This coming Tuesday, we also got a baseball game for my dad's cousin and Eliezer and his wife Kristen, who I fucking loved back when they came to visit us on Sandhurst a lot, and then when we moved to Ridgeville in the Sandy Ridge house, and then during COVID remained where they were at, and then they moved to Texas, and then during like the early part of post-COVID, without it snowing, they came back, and now they're living, but they're like in the area in my old territory where I used to go to school, my old hood. So therefore, I get to see them for the first time since way before COVID. So it's gonna be refreshing. And to Brittany Peck and Angela Cole, have no fear, because eventually I will be able to come to see Braden and Nelson play football. It's only a matter of time. And to Adam and Lucas, my biggest fans in the TikTok and on YouTube, and I mean not YouTube, well, TikTok and YouTube as well as real life, I will try my damnedest to come to a Thursday freshman game to see you guys, play, and see Joel Trimmer coach you guys to a victory. Adam's just got to figure out, if his mom will give me a ride this Thursday. So we might have 3 games this week. Kristen Elias's son Oliver, the freshman game with Adam Lucas, coached by Joel, and then of course Ricky B taking us to see his son play junior varsity football this Saturday morning before the Sharpie 500 at Bristol, and this coming next Sunday, a week from today. Then we're gonna be, then so we'll have already taken care of business throughout the whole week. Tomorrow going to all of Saturday, Sunday we get a little R&R free time in the happy place in Northeast Ohio. Our first episode of, bullshitting some bonus outdoor time that really shouldn't be getting. And so far it's been a warm fall. So to the cold weather lovers, well, I wouldn't go that far yet. I'm going to get to you bozos later in the season. But to you fall spooky season simps, yeah, y'all better be sweating bullets, because that autumn season that you really asked for, you wanted to rush through summer for, isn't looking very good. Because so far it's been a warm fall, and we're just getting started and taking baby steps of this whole rushing through summer to get to fall thing blowing up in y'all's faces. So therefore, I hope that in the end that, that turns out to be the case. And then guess what? You will regret it, and you will be sorry. And don't say I didn't warn you like what button, because I'll said, I told you so. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it, let alone just might regret it. So that's going to do it for me. I got nothing planned to be uploaded tomorrow. And since I didn't get to do a Watkins Glen preview that all on Friday, and I had nothing uploaded yesterday, then the everyday uploaded streak came to an end on Thursday with mine and Julie's, update video of Race Rekindling Our Romance. So have a good night tonight and a better day tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Good night. I will see you all for the next video, which will be on Tuesday. Once again, congratulations to GGs Buescher on winning a thriller in the Sirius satellite radio at the Glen at Watkins Glen, other than Watkins Glen International, in the second race of the 2024 Chase for the Cup. See you all next Saturday night at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Sharpie 500 to close out the round of 16. See you later, everyone.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.